Hello, everybody. Once again, it's Laurie White, President of the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, here with another edition of Chamber TV. And today we have the honor and privilege of hosting our governor, Governor Dan McKee. How are you, Governor? Great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Thanks for coming on and talking a little bit about chambers and the importance that they have in our state of Rhode Island.
Absolutely. So it is a pleasure to be able to talk with you, Governor, about your budget. So we were among those in attendance watching you deliver your State of the State speech a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to start calling you the blue and the bio governor as a result of that address. So level set us, if you will, and tell us what your big picture is, your big vision for Rhode Island as it plays out relative to the budget, Governor.
Well, I think I mentioned in the State of the State that Rhode Island is resilient, like many other states, but we're filled with opportunities, and I think that's the message right now. Economically, we've been very fortunate to reopen our economy stronger than anywhere in the Northeast, and I think we creeped back into the top 5 in the country last week. So I think that the main message is the opportunities that we have, Laurie, and so I think we've reflected it. I know we've reflected that in our budget, and also our request to the General Assembly about how to spend that $1.1 billion that everybody's talking about in a way that helps our economy, clearly gets us past some of the issues that we've been dealing with on health-wise, economic-wise in our schools, but really with a focus to, and I mentioned that in my State of the State, that one of our main objectives right now is to help people earn more money, and you need to invest it properly to do that. So I can kind of go on a little bit, but I love to kind of break down some of the things that we've done in the budget, Laurie, but happy to continue talking our way through it.
Okay. So let me start by saying, first of all, thank you so much, Governor, for not proposing any broad-based taxes, particularly the income tax or the sales tax or the corporate income tax. Those are very important issues for the chamber, as you well know, and we just want to extend our thanks and appreciation to you for recognizing the importance of a competitive tax environment.
Yeah, I think that's really important for us. We're reflecting this in many ways in the budget in terms of not increasing taxes in any broad-based way, and also reducing taxes in many ways, right? So we put for instance, a small business article in the budget. It addresses many areas. As I went around the state of Rhode Island over the last 6 months, I've been asking people, what do you mean when you're talking about creating a small business friendly state? And these were just like a beginning of it. So we lowered the corporate minimum tax to $375. I think that saves over 65,000 businesses some money, and that money flows back into our businesses. We've set a sunset on eliminating making it permanent in terms of the liquor to go with meals on restaurants. That was something that they really felt this was important, Laurie. One of the interesting ones, as a former mayor, we know the tangible tax is one that is, can be troubling for and difficult on small businesses in particular, but all businesses that at any given time. So we asked the General Assembly, these are all proposals to the General Assembly, to give local communities the ability to exempt a certain portion of their tangible tax without coming back to the General Assembly for approval. I think that's going to be embraced by many of the municipalities because that's something they asked for. We reduced the tax on delinquent taxes to get more in line and not in a usury rate of 18%, but we lowered that to 12%. We know that there's people who are having trouble in the pandemic, in particular, keeping up with their tax payments to the state. We know it's not people who are just deadbeats out there. This is people who are clearly been impacted by the pandemic, and to bring that down to a level that's closer to Massachusetts and Connecticut makes a lot of sense, and we're hoping that we're going to get a lot of support on all these measures from the chambers and from the local business associations as well as the business community, creating a taxpayer steward with the Rhode Island Division of Taxation. That was one of the asks in our meetings, not only in the small business meetings that I had when I was Lieutenant Governor, but also when we were doing the Rhode Island 2030 reach out to all the communities and all the vested individuals. And I know that the chamber had participated in those meetings. Interesting one was we find that the home-based cottage food production for non-farmers, we're the only state in the country that doesn't allow businesses to start developing in their homes in a way that makes sense. And so we're asking the General Assembly to, to align ourselves with the rest of the states in the country with that. We've also expanded the entity of the type of financial institutions that are eligible to apply for small business development funds. So that's just in the budget. We continue the auto phase out. So we know that every family and every business that has fleets are going to be, benefiting from that. I think that we tend to forget the enormous amount of tax relief that has been provided to Rhode Island vehicle owners, and including business fleets. And we're going to be in that spot where Massachusetts is going to still have an auto tax, and we're not going to, based on next year, we'll phase out that completely when I do the budget next year, and we'll continue to work on small business strategies that would make sense. We're leveling the playing field on some ideas in terms of paint recycling fees that hardware stores have to front the money on, mattress recycling fees to make them in more line with Massachusetts. Those furniture shop businesses, I've asked for that as well. So that's just an overview on what we've done. And then we were able to get the General Assembly to approve the first down payment on the federal dollars, $119 million. And we just launched a $12.5 million small business grant program where small businesses can get up to $5,000 on an application at commerceri.org. So we're asking people to go there. I think we've almost got close to 1,700 businesses and the small businesses that are doing that. But it's not just small businesses, it's all our businesses. And that's why you're talking about getting people back to work, these back to business, Rhode Island, these initiatives that we're putting in, $40 million in terms of job training to help our businesses, retool their staff. We've got a higher education academy that I think is incredibly important. That education is very important to me, and not just the K through 12, which we have proposals in the K through 12, but we have a higher education academy that Commissioner Shannon Gilkey has brought forward, and we're very excited about that because that'll help upgrade education in terms of certificate degrees, associate degrees, 4-year degrees, and that all will translate into a better, stronger workforce for the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you for sharing that, Governor. So last week you did announce the additional round of small business funding, and although that isn't a budget proposal going forward, it's something that we all want to embrace today. While we have the honor of speaking to you right now, could you talk a little bit more about the provisions of that loan program and the deadlines?
Yeah, so the deadline is February 15th. To get your name in the keyed up there. Make sure that by February 15th you go to that site, which is as I said, it's the Rhode Island commerceri.com/Rhode Island Rebounds. That'll bring you directly to it, and it's businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic. So it's a threshold in this case of $1 million gross in terms of revenue, and there's a very simple strategy there that shows that you've been impacted, and then the small businesses can participate. Similar, when I came into office, we put $30 million into a grant program as well. In addition to that, and our Rhode Island, the down payment that I was talking about, there's going to be funds for hospitality. We know that certain hotels have been impacted. We know Providence has been impacted more than, say, other communities that haven't had the same, challenges in terms of getting people back to work. There's money in our budget to renovate and restore the convention center, the Dunk Center. I think it's over $40 million in that. We've got dollars that are going into, right now, we'll talk a little bit, I'm sure, about the progress we're making on the Superman building, the progress we're making on the bus terminal in Providence. So Providence is a key point for us in terms of investing, and we're doing that. But we're also putting $50 million into to support healthcare facilities, and $12.5 million to stabilize support the children and youth, and in particular the small business and the businesses that are in the daycare. They're very important to us, and we're investing in them as well. Like I said, $40 million in the Enhanced Real Jobs program that I know a lot of our businesses, our manufacturers have used, very, very strategically, and we're going to keep those programs going.
You mentioned the Superman building, and I do want to get to that, but I want to continue a little bit on your vision for bio and blue, particularly as it pertains to the University of Rhode Island and the ARPA funds. And also, and I want to mention that I've heard very little in recent years about all the improvements in Galilee. So I think that that's an area that's really wide open for discussion and development. So tell us your thoughts on how you see that playing out, Governor.
I think that by working with everybody, especially in the 2030 meetings, we got a very clear strategy in terms of what we would appropriate for dollars into the state of Rhode Island from those federal dollars. So with the green economy, the blue economy, we know that our universities, and particularly URI, is very vested in that. We're talking about, I think it's close to 150 million of total investment in that blue and green economy to bring in, and also in terms of the life science as well. We're looking at lab space in downtown Providence, looking at partnering with Brown University as well on the green economy, and like I say, the fisheries and gallery. We've got, I think, close to $40 million invested in restoring our fish ports and making sure that industry is addressed in. So I think it's I'm very confident that we've put in a great proposal to help our economy, both on the life science investment, the green economy, the blue economy. We have ports in both that we're investing in Quonset, a significant amount of dollars. Another, I think it's close to $35 million in developing a new port on East Providence side to create the supply chain for for that industry and the wind industry and investing there. So I think that if people who are interested in what our thought process was and how we developed that very strategically, go to ri2030.com. You're going to see a multitude of areas that we believe that if we invest in over the next decade and start to do it as soon as we can, that Rhode Island's economic future is very, very bright. And I think that report, Laurie, shows the work that both the Lieutenant Governor and I have done with Stephen Pryor, with stakeholders around the state of Rhode Island, in the green economy, in the blue economy, in the life science, as well as healthcare, education, housing. We're talking about housing being a big opportunity for us in all our cities and towns to provide housing for the people to be able to stay and live in the Rhode Island. I said in the State of the State, how can we expect our kids, our sons and daughters, to stay here in Rhode Island if we can't provide housing that they can afford to live in? So housing is a big component. I think it's important to our economy. I believe that we're talking to one manufacturer, a couple manufacturers that really almost want to create a housing strategy in their community to support the workers that work in their manufacturing plant. So I think it's a comprehensive, very well thought out, looking for a great deal of support that from different channels. We didn't put everything into one thing. We picked out, really important key components to both the economy, helping people get back, recovering on the health issues, the education issues. And our proposal is investing across the board in a way that really creates a great future for the state of Rhode Island.
We only have a couple of minutes left, and I do want to get to the Industrial Trust Building, aka the Superman Building, and it seems as though you are making some progress with that. Anything that you can share with us today?
Well, I think that we've made progress in many areas on economic development since I've been governor. You're at the Amazon project that's going to put many thousand, 1,200 people to work, 1,200 people to build the place, 1,200 people to run, with good paying jobs in terms of, helping increase people's per capita income. Laurie, we also have really invested in our infrastructure. I think we announced $2.1 billion towards infrastructure improvements over the next 5 years. We ran a surplus, I think, higher than any administration has ever done. I do manage in a way to, manage to break even and then also to have surpluses. And we're taking a portion of the surpluses, $100 million, to free up $400 million of matching grants that would come into the state. So we're doing this all over the state of Rhode Island. So it's no different in Providence, using our assets that we have in commerce. And we are in some very good conversations on the Superman building. It's been going on for several months. Initially, I didn't really see any light at the end of the tunnel. I think that we're getting there. We got to make sure that we create multiple sources to support the project. We want to make sure that the owner, has skin in the game. I believe that we got to that point where that's happening, and we're hopeful that something there is going to happen, in the next 30 days or so, to where we're going to be able to outline what that looks like as we move forward. Providence also, like I said, we're investing in the convention center, a huge amount of dollars, I believe, to make sure that the viability of that activity in downtown helps support all the small businesses and the businesses in Providence. We're also really investing in a transportation mode that we'll be talking about publicly very shortly, that addresses the busing terminal. We're adding components, I believe, on housing and some retail, and we're on a 1 to 10 basis. We're close to a 6 to 7 on that. Superman building, I think that we're closer to an 8 or 9, just according to what Stefan's told me, putting the final touches in. So hopefully we'll have positive things like that, like we have on the infrastructure, on Amazon, what we're doing in Pawtucket in terms of, I stepped in right away and made sure that the project in Pawtucket with Don Grebian, with the soccer facility and all the multi-purpose housing and retail that goes along with that. A lot to be very, very encouraged about right now, Laurie.
Well, I think it's fair to say you've really taken a holistic approach to looking at the state and looking at it sector by sector and geography by geography and placing strategic bets, throughout. But I want to, certainly emphasize that, and I appreciate everything you said about, doing it throughout Rhode Island, but attention to the Superman building is so much appreciated. I think it is a important psychic and social and cultural asset to us, and we are very much in favor of being a part of and supporting efforts to really breathe new life into that building. So we stand ready to assist you and your team and Stefan as that project continues to unfold.
Getting people to live down in Providence is a housing strategy that's going to help all our businesses. It's going to really anchor some good economy in the city, and we know that they really need it right now. Well, Providence has been hit extremely hard in the pandemic. We fully realize that. We know there's 39 cities and towns, as you said, and we need to make sure we're investing across the board in all the communities. But the opera dollars were set to help those who are struggling the most. And we know that Providence needs the help, and we're going to partnering with the municipalities and the state and the federal, entities. And then if we're able to announce something very positive on the as you say, the Superman building, that should add momentum to the overall momentum to the state of Rhode Island. Everybody's going to benefit from a strong downtown Providence.
Okay, Governor, we will leave it at that. We are out of time, but this has been great, and I would love to see you come back on a regular basis and chat with us about all the things that you are observing from the executive branch perspective and how our small business community might be better informed about some of the great things that are happening here in Rhode Island. So thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and we will see you again.
Well, Laurie, thank you so much. Everybody's out there in the nonprofits and helped out with the vaccinations. We're going to get into the boosters now in a real strong way. I think there's relief coming on the masking issues, both in our businesses and our schools. And so there's a lot to be looked forward to very positively here. And invite me back. I go where I'm invited.
Okay, we'll circle back in a couple of weeks, and we'll try to make a regular event. Thank you, Governor. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you to Laurie and to the chamber. Appreciate it very much.